Hi, my name is Matthew Hensley, and this is my final project for the Principles of Selling online class. So, a little bit of background of the people I interviewed. First, I interviewed John McCarthy. He's a close family friend of ours, and he's the general manager of the Pinckney Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram dealership in Pinckney, Michigan. John previously owned a Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram dealership for 15 years before selling it, and he's been in the business since he was 18 years old. At 18, he started out as a porter in the service department, then was a service manager, sales manager, F&I manager, and then he eventually worked his way up to being the general manager. Now, with doing all that, he had to go through being a salesperson, so he's got a lot of background in sales. The next person I interviewed was Don Leseski. That's actually my grandpa. He's a co-owner of Jim Rio's Jeep Friendly dealership. After coming back from the war, he joined the Jim Rio family as a master technician. He moved from there to be a sales and service manager, and he moved up to co-own the dealership. He started when he was 22 after he got back from the war, and now he's currently 71 and just works as a porter at the dealership. The third and final person I interviewed was Ron Showden. He's actually a close family friend of mine as well. He's a general manager at Lula Ridge Chevy in Plymouth. He worked in the dealership business since he was 18 years old. He started as a sales associate, moved up to F&I manager, sales manager to general manager, but he specializes in the sales department, and that's why I chose him. So the first question was building trust, and I asked John, who is the general manager at Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram dealership, what building trust meant to him. And he said creating a relationship with a customer that is not transactional, but is more trustworthy relationship. He said that you shouldn't worry about the money aspect, but you should rather worry about building trust with the customer. If you build that trust and retain that customer, they will keep coming back further down the line. You got to think long term over short term, and he kept stressing that to me. He said, if you increase customer retention, profits will increase too, because those people will come back for their kids, their aunts, their uncles, their grandparents, whatever the case may be. They will refer you to them as well as come back. He said, you have to be more profitable for the dealership to create a trustworthy relationship where customers will come back instead of just getting a one-time profit. So just throwing that customer to the dirt and getting their money. He wants to create that relationship where they will come back and he can get their money again and again and again. The next question I asked him was ethics in sales. And he said, you have to try to create sustainable business practices that create future growth opportunities. And he said, you only get away with one thing once. So he just said, it's more sustainable, do it right the first time. He said, don't try to screw over someone because it will come back and haunt you and haunt the dealership and can ruin your reputation. He says business will grow if sustainable business practices are used, but he emphasized that it starts with top management. It starts with him and the owners. If he shows his staff how to work ethically in sales and trains them the proper way, there should never be a problem with how a deal should be done, or if this comes up or if that comes up, how to handle a situation. Each situation should be done correctly in the way that they are trained. The third question I asked him was, how much does it mean to understand a buyer, and what does that mean? He said you have to find the right vehicle or solution for the customer's needs. He said getting them what they want, when they want it, and how they want it. He said that is one of the hardest parts of the dealership business is people come in with an idea that they're going to get a brand new car, and financially they can't do that. So you tell them that they want a used car and they say, no, I want a new car. So then you got to find like a leasing option or a car that's lower that doesn't have all the high-tech gear on it. He said that's very hard to do, but understanding the customer and where they're coming from and their wants and their needs, if you can hit all those points, there's no reason why the sale shouldn't go through. He also said you need to know your demographic area you're selling for. So he gave me an example of down in Dearborn, which that was a dealership I worked at this summer. There was a lot of Arabic people and Islamic people, and he said that we need salespeople who can speak that native language, because if all we can do is speak English, how are we going to connect to that customer who comes in and doesn't speak English? He said you got to know that area and their financial situations as well. It's not just about the buyer coming in and being like, oh, you have $10,000. Let's see what we can do with it. You got to know when to use it and how to use it, and understand them and their situation before you even make the sale. And he said be proactive over reactive. He meant when someone comes in and says, I got $15,000 cash, I want that car, let's get it. Instead, sit back, see what else you can do for them, see how you can provide a better car for them or more options for them at the same price. So he said understanding the buyer is a big deal in the dealership world. The next question I asked was importance of communication. I asked my grandpa this, who is the co-owner of Jim Rio's Jeep Friendly. He said communication is everything. He said that not only with life, but also in business. He said you got to know how to communicate with customers, and he stressed this to me. He said if a customer comes in all pissed off, you got to find out a way to settle them down and talk to them normally. Don't get mad at them or find a loophole to hand it off to someone else to deal with. He said you got to know how to deal with it. And he said that starts at the top. Each person should be trained on how to communicate. There's certain things you can and can't say in the business world, and you got to know what you can and cannot say. You also got to know how to communicate with your peers. He said, without being able to work as a cohesive unit, the dealership will never work. The dealership is a team event to get one sale done. You go from someone coming in and looking at a car to getting the car to seeing if they are financed enough or how much they want to put down to actually doing the delivery of the car and the car getting prepped and then them driving away. So you have four groups there. You got parts, service, body, F&I, and sales all working to make one deal work. So 5 departments, communication is key there. He said you also want to maintain a relationship with the customers, meaning that treat them right. If they come in and you know how to communicate with them and you are normal to them and how you're supposed to do it, they will always come back. But if you come in and you're just in an angry mood at the day and something goes wrong, so you take it on a customer, that can not only cost a bit. That's not only going to cost the business, but it's also going to cost you because as a salesperson, you work off commission. So communication is everything. He said you have to train your employees to know how to communicate, and obviously it starts with management, having them go through training classes so each and every person knows how to be trained in how to communicate. So you got to communicate effectively. He said you can communicate all you want, but if it's not being effective, there's no point in communicating. He said you got to know how to communicate effectively so that each customer knows what they're getting, how they're getting it, how they're getting treated, and so on. He also said you want to have consistent communication. So even after a sale, you want to follow up with them, see how their car went, how their car is doing. See when they need to come in for an oil change. Wish them a happy birthday. Wish them a Merry Christmas. They will come back if you do that. But if you just throw them to the dirt after you make a sale and make money off them, they're not going to come back. And retention is everything in the dealership world, he said. I asked them communicating value and what that meant. He said value, you have to know the value of your products and how you are better from the guy down the street. He said your car versus this car, you got to know why yours is more valuable than theirs. If theirs has more options, tell them why your car with less options is a better choice. He said you have to create a value and know how to communicate that to the customer. You can know the value of the company, but if you don't know how to communicate that to the customer, then anything you're doing is pointless. And that goes back to communicating again. You got to be able to know how to communicate. Once you know how to communicate, then you get the value in there. You can communicate value. He also said you have to communicate better than the next guy. So if someone comes in and there's 2 salespeople there, how are you going to approach the situation? How are you going to outduel your own salesperson so that you can have that sale and you can make money? So he said communicating value is really key. The third question I asked him was addressing concerns. And he said this is a big problem, especially at the dealership he works at. He said the first thing you gotta do is find out the root of the problem. You know, there's always 3 sides to a story. There's his side, her side, and then the truth. You never know which one's right until you find out all the details. So he said first, find out what's causing the problem, why this problem happened. And then he said address it, but address it effectively so that both parties know what they did wrong and where you can improve on. He also said you want to address them immediately. You don't want a concern, lingering on over time where someone can get to a computer and write a bad post about your dealership. You want to address that situation right there. And if you can't, get a manager who can, he said. He said sometimes people try to, address the concerns or the problems without ever going to a manager, and they address it wrong, and that just causes even more problems. So he said, if you don't know what to do, go to a manager, but address that problem immediately. He said you have to know all the factors of the problem. A pipe could break, but what's the reason for it? Was it a frozen pipe? It just burst? It's old? It's this, that, or the other? He said it's kind of like a pipe. You have to know all the factors of that problem so you can squish those so the problem doesn't arise again. And he said make sure the customer is happy so there's a long-lasting relationship. So if a customer isn't happy with you, find a way to make him happy. Address that problem that he has. Find a way so that he will come back no matter what. I said if you do that and you retain those customers, profit over time will grow and they will come back. The next question I asked was Ron Shouted, who is the GM at Lula Ridge Chevy in Plymouth. I said earning commitment, and what does that mean to him, and how do you earn commitment from a customer? He said it's not easy, and you have to earn it. It won't be given to you. What makes them have to come back to you after their 2-year lease is up? Because they got the car from you? No, they can go and get another car. He said you have to earn that, and it starts by the first time they ever walk in that door. He said it takes good processes and good execution to gain commitment. And he said it starts at the top, being able to communicate with employees each and every day so your employees can communicate with the customers. He said if you can do that, earning commitment really isn't that hard, but you're going to have to earn it. It will not be given to you. And he stressed that to me over and over and over again. So you can't just expect a guy to come in and want to work with you every time. He said you can't expect a guy to come in after a 2-year lease and want to work with you and get a new car from us. He said you have to be able to earn that commitment so that you know for a fact that they will come back, because they have no obligations to come back. So earn that commitment so they do come back. The next question I asked him was importance of customer relationships. And he loved this question. He said it's the name of the game. He said without customers, we are nothing. Any business is not a business without customers. They keep us afloat. So without them, we're in for one. He said this is how you increase sales volumes. And he said if you have good customer relationships, that can lead to so much stuff. Here at Northwood, we have a lot of networking events, and just knowing this person or knowing this person, and their dad does this, and this, it's networking. That's what it is. You have to build that relationship with them. If you build that relationship with them, they'll give you referrals. They'll come back. They'll, like I said, bring more people than you could ever imagine to the dealership because they were treated so fairly. Like I said in one of the discussion boards, my family only goes through one salesperson, and it's because he worked for my grandpa. He treats us like family. He gets the job done right. He gets us what we want when we want it, and he has that good customer relationship with us to the point where we want to go back. We know when we go back, we're getting everything and more. So he said that is key. He said this is what makes or breaks a business as customers. And he said long-lasting relationships leads to more sales and profits down the road. And he kept stressing to me, it's not about this sale right now. Yes, it might be crucial to get your monthly bonus, but at the end of the day, if you get that sale, but you have a good relationship with them, they'll come back in 2 years or 3 years or whatever the case may be. They will come back. When they come back, not only is the dealership profiting more, but also you. So he stressed that was key to me. The next question I asked him was building customer network. He said the key to increasing sales and customer service business. So he said with sales are hard to keep business, afloat. Some people don't want to come back. They don't want the same car, but there's a reason why you want to network with your customers, have them get your name out there as well. He said the service side of business, you may provide a service for them, but they don't like how it's done, so they're not coming back to you. So you got to do those two things right so that you can increase your sales and customer service business. He said in a dealership, this will increase profits. If your customers can network, there's so much social media today. Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, just Yelp reviews online. If they get the name out there and they say you did a good job, people look at that. People will come because they saw that and they read that. People won't come if they read, this guy treated me like crap, he's the worst guy ever. You got to build that customer relationship so that they can network for you. He says customers cost a lot to acquire them, and networking with them is what you have to do. A customer to come into a dealership and buy a car, 90% of the time they want to come in and buy a car. The other 10% is you finding out how you're going to fit their needs. And if you can't do that, they'll walk. They'll go somewhere else. So he said if you can do that and they get your name out there, not only did you make a profit, not only did you gain a customer, but you also got your name out there even more. And you didn't even have to pay for advertising. And the next point he brought up was referral business is more effective than advertising. He said you can spend all the money in the world on ads, but until a customer walks in the door, you don't have a sale. You can advertise anything, lowest deals, $189 a month with 0 down, yada, yada, yada. He said you can have all that junk, but he said without referral business and people coming into the store, then your business won't be afloat, especially in the dealership world. And he said you have to have them be the advocate for your business, and he stressed that to me. And the next question I asked him was importance of self-leadership. And this was big for him because in the dealership world, you got to be able to lead yourself before you can lead anyone else. He said, learn how to make yourself better each and every day. Learn what you did wrong from the sale. Learn how you can improve the sale. Learn what you can do next time to prepare yourself better, or what you can do with the customer to make them feel more at home. He said the auto business is an entrepreneur mindset, and it is. We're out here trying to sell cars to people who don't always need cars. Nowadays, you have Uber, Lyft, taxi companies. People can walk. A lot of people don't need cars. It's a want. It's not a need, it's a want. And if you can get them to want that and come in and you treat them right, then that want pays off for them. And he said you have to be self-correcting. When you make a mistake, you got to be able to notice and put the blame on you. You got to be able to point the finger back at you and not at someone else. If a sale doesn't go through, you can't say, "Oh, my manager messed it up because he didn't get the price that I had set." Well, maybe that price wasn't the best for them, but maybe you should have showed them a different car with different options that brings down the price, but also still gets them what they want, what they need. He said you got to look at it that way. He said you got to lead and motivate yourself before you can lead and motivate others. He said you can't go in each and every day and thinking you're the top dog when you're not even okay yourself. If you haven't had sales in months, you got to be able to correct that first before you go and try and tell someone else how to do their job or how to correct them. And he said you have to be able to lead yourself before you can lead a customer to a sale. And he's totally correct. If you can't be in charge during the sale process and you can't lead them into getting into a deal or even considering it, then you talking to a customer was pointless. You have to be able to lead yourself with your confidence, um, and your sales skills to be able to make the sale go through. And those were his main key points about importance of self-leadership. And the final one I asked him was importance of teamwork, and he was really big on this one again. He loved all the questions, but this one he got on me a little bit about because he said teamwork makes the dream work, and he said you have to cooperate to compete. He said the team down the street, they could be doing better deals than you, but you have to outdo them some way. And he said in the auto dealership world, you are a team. Like I said, service, sales, part, body. You all work together to make one deal go through. For a deal to happen, you got to come in, have a salesman. Once the sales is done, you got to have a sales manager, make sure he approves of that. Then you have to go to the F&I office. Once they get all the credit and the numbers down, then you go back to the salesman. Then you have the delivery bay guy, who might be a certified technology expert, or the salesman. So right there, you got 5 or 6 guys working on one person for one deal. It's a team, and if the team doesn't come together, then it won't work. He said, team has to work together to make the customer experience superior, and that was his biggest point. He talked about how the team together, the salesman could do a great job, the manager could do a great job, F&I guy could do a great job, but when it comes to the delivery and setting up another appointment, he doesn't want to, but you force him to, or the delivery goes wrong and you don't have the right options on the car that he wanted, or the car isn't what he expected, or the delivery guy just messes up and doesn't show off the features right, that can lead to a lost sale. So everyone has to work together. They have to each be superior in their own way and create that great customer experience for the customer. So to conclude, this was a great learning experience for me. Not only did it allow me to talk to some great people in the dealership world and 3 different kinds of dealerships, but it also allowed me to learn from them, grow from them, and become close with them. So I want to thank you guys for listening and have a great day.